Thursday, 21st July 2011, the Central Bank Governor, Lamido, came to the House of Representatives on the invitation of the lawmakers. The 360 members, like all Nigerians, had questions regarding some new policies scheduled for implementation by the Apex Bank, issues that only the CBN governor could answer. Deputy Speaker, Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, standing in for the Speaker, set the tone for the session.
You will recall that on Tuesday, 19 July 2011, the House, in a resolution, invited the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to appear and brief the House pursuant to Section 8, 4, and 5 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act 2007, and to address the House specifically on the policies of cash withdrawal limits and the introduction of interest-free banking model in Nigeria. It is my privilege now to invite the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Madam Sanusi, to address the House and respond strictly to the issues that have been raised in our communication to you and which I just explained now. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. And good morning, distinguished honorable members of the House of Reps. Now, may I begin by thanking the House for inviting me to discuss these two issues that are topical in our country, and for providing me with the opportunity to provide the needed clarification and to shed light on some of the misunderstandings around these two policies. As a first point, the central bank never limited the amount of cash that you can withdraw from a bank. The circular limits the amount of cash you can withdraw in a day without charge. And that's an important distinction. You can withdraw any amount of money from the bank, but if as an individual you withdraw over 150,000 naira, there is a cost. If as a corporate you withdraw more than 1 million naira a day, there is a cost. So this is first of all what the policy was. The circular is there, gentlemen. That is the first misunderstanding that I think we should clear. You see, what I discovered is that 99% of the people who have spoken about the cash limit policy have never read the circular. The circular was very, very clear. If as an individual you want to withdraw more than 150,000 naira in a single day from a bank, then for amounts drawn over 150,000 naira, there's a charge. Now that is what the circular is. The cash limit policy is only one small part of a comprehensive process and comprehensive program of payment system transformation. If you look at an average bank, when you go to borrow for your car loan, for your housing loan, for your personal loan, and the National Assembly, in fact, has spoken about this often, the huge spread between what you get on your deposits and what you pay the banks on the loans. 2 years ago, when I was being screened at the National Assembly, I was asked what I would do about it. And I explained that there is no magic wand. That spread partly reflects the profit charge of the banks, and it substantially reflects the huge costs of doing business in Nigeria. Some of the things are beyond the control of the central bank. If you take a very large bank with 400, 500 branches, and because of the lack of power, the bank has to have generators in every branch. It has to have diesel. It has to provide its own security. It needs armored trucks. All of these add to the costs. But there are some things we can do something about. One of these costs is cash management. The size of the bank branches, the amount of money being spent on managing cash, moving cash, processing cash when there are alternatives. We all travel all over the world. Nobody goes to the UK and carries £1 million. Nobody goes to the United States and takes $1 million because he wants to transfer from one person to another. This program has 5 pillars from an operations perspective. There's a cash management pillar where you industrialize cash management. We don't think every bank needs to have its own cash management center. It's not banking, it's cash management. You can have 2, 3 cash management companies that transport cash to all the banks. They handle the cash, they count it, they process it, they bring it to the central bank for destruction. The idea that 24 banks in Nigeria should have 24 bank offices doing cash management adds to your cost. So when you go and borrow at 25%, some of the cost you're paying is the cost of cash management. We have a payment system transformation, which is aimed at addressing 60% of the cost of cash distribution. And to do this, we need to facilitate the growth of electronic payments and increase the availability, reliability, and security of electronic channels. And payment systems are a key driver in the cost of distribution. We have an IT infrastructure and services initiative where we expect banks to share things like data centers, disaster recovery, business continuity centers. Not every bank needs to invest heavily in all of that, and all of these reduce the cost of transaction for the banking industry. We're setting up IT standards. Now, if you go to a country like Spain, the Spanish banks have a cost-to-income ratio of about 40%, compared to over 60% for Nigerian banks. And one of the reasons is that the regulator there sets IT standards, and all banks comply with those standards, and information technology drives operations rather than manual processes. Then, centralized back office operations, both within the large banks and among banks. Now, the cash limit policy falls squarely under payment systems transformation. Now, and what we said was that an individual can have a free cash withdrawal limit of 150,000 naira a day. I refer you to slide number 8 and slide number 9. On slide number 8, you can see that cash transactions represent about 99% of all transactions that are done in the banking hall. People walk in to take cash. But the interesting slide is slide number 9. In 2009, total cash transactions in the Nigerian banking industry were about 2 trillion naira. That's people just walking into the bank to take cash over the counter. In 2009, 2 trillion. Now, out of this, 86% of the transactions were for less than 100,000 naira. 86%. 90% of the transactions were for less than 150,000 naira. 45% of the transactions were for less than 10,000 naira. People were going to the bank, queuing up for 3 hours, for 4 hours to collect 3,000 naira, 2,000 naira, 4,000 naira. And it makes sense. How many Nigerians earn 150,000 naira? A country where 70% of the population lives on less than $1 a day. How many Nigerians can go and cash 150,000 naira in a day? It's less than 10%. That's what the numbers have shown. But look on the right. This 10%, that is 150,000 naira and above, the total value of the cash they moved was 1.5 trillion naira, or 71% of the total cash activity in the banks. So the poor people who go for 5,000, 10,000, and who go to borrow and pay 25% are effectively subsidizing the rich ones who go and take 20 million naira cash, 30 million naira cash, and for this, the banks have to have armored vehicles, they have to provide security, they have to keep staff, they have to bring the cash for destruction, the central bank has to pay, and the total cost of cash management in the banking industry is projected at 2012 to 200 billion naira. So we're spending effectively 140, 150 billion naira as cost to provide services to people who have alternatives. Because today, every Nigerian bank does electronic funds transfer. Every Nigerian bank. You want to transfer 1 million naira, 20 million, 100 million naira, you give an instruction, your bank will transfer. Just give an account number. Today, as I speak to you, from next week, NIPS is starting a test in 5 banks of what is called NIPS Instant. If you go to your bank and ask for a transfer, it will be done instantly and you get a confirmation. Nothing like go and come, and we're going to roll it out on the 24 banks. So the people that are going for 1 million, 20 million, 30 million, they have options. It's not ATM on POS. So the argument that we don't have ATMs on, they have options today. They can do electronic funds transfer, they can do SWIFT, they can sit in their homes, get on the internet, and do that transfer themselves. All banks have internet banking. So if they choose, for whatever reason, that they won't do internet, they won't do EFT, they won't do SWIFT, they want to go into the bank and collect 30 million naira cash in Ghana must go bags, they should pay. They should pay. And that is all. Pay the price for it. Okay? Now, so that deals with the upper stratum. Okay? Now, it doesn't address the entire problem because you still have all these people that come to the bank to collect 3,000 naira, 4,000 naira, 10,000 naira. And they have to stand in line, and they also constitute a cost. And for those people, we feel it is absolutely critical that we modernize the payment system. I'll give you another slide to give you an idea of where we are. Go to slide 12. This slide just gives you the point of sales density in Nigeria, to give you an idea of where we are. Today, for every 100,000 Nigerians, we have 13 point of sales terminals. 13 for 100,000. Gentlemen, Uganda has 453. Namibia has 338. Mexico has 592. Malaysia has 1,063. Singapore 2,091. Brazil 2,247 ATMs for 100,000 people. All of these people can just go to a POS, use the terminal to collect cash. They can pay cash. POSs now can actually handle checks. You don't need to go and clog a bank branch. And we set ourselves a target. We said by 2015, Nigeria will be where Brazil is today. And it's achievable. We know what it requires. It is not magic. People are getting worried because they're thinking of constraints we had years ago. Main One cable has arrived in Lagos. Glow cable has arrived in Lagos. Main one today is using 0.5% of its capacity. You've got 99.5% that's not been used. The whole of Lagos is on fiber optic. So what does it take? And between now and December, we are going to put out in Lagos 60,000 POS terminals. And Lagos will be cashless. It's not a problem. It will be cashless. And we'll do it. Why do you want to go and stand for 3 hours in a branch when you can use your card? And as a country, we must have ambition. You get on a plane today, you want to go to Nairobi. You don't think, where do I get Kenyan shillings? You take your card in your pocket. Because you land in Nairobi and if you need shillings, you can go to a POS terminal, an ATM terminal, and take cash. If you want to eat, you go to a restaurant and you take your card. Now, enter your car to drive from Abuja to Lagos. You need to carry 200,000 naira to buy petrol, to change your tire, to buy food, because all our transactions are cash-based. In fact, if you are traveling out of Nigeria, apart from people like you and I that maybe are sure that when we land at 3 a.m., a driver will be there with security, people travel out of Nigeria and carry naira. Because if they land in Abuja or Lagos at 3 a.m. without cash in their pocket, they will sleep in the airport. Now, don't we want to change this country? We have to change it. We want to be among the 20 biggest financial services industries in the world. And we don't have simple things like POSs. I don't know how many of you a week ago saw a CNN program on mobile banking in Kenya. A farmer in a village in Kenya can pick up his phone and on his phone order fertilizer and use his telephone to make a payment. We have just issued 16 mobile payment approvals for licenses, plus 8 that have just been issued. If I have my way, in another year or two, in a village, you don't need to have a bank branch. If there is an MTN recharge card seller, he can take your KYC, open an account for you in any bank of your choice, and you can use your telephone to make transactions. When we do our agricultural reforms and NERSL, when we go to a place like Kano and we do tomato, we're not just going to look at irrigation and seeds and fertilizers and training and technical assistance. We're going to do that. But we are bringing mobile companies, we are bringing payment systems companies, and in the village, as we are teaching